My name is Bidanya Barassa and welcome to my world. Today we're going to talk about something that really changed my life and one of the reasons why I'm starting this podcast. And it's about my cancer journey. I was diagnosed with colon cancer 13 years ago. And of course, through the grace of God, that's why I'm here. But it's always important for me to share with you my journey, the thoughts I went through, what I did, and what I'm currently doing in order to live a healthy, beautiful life. I was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2010. And honestly, it was one of those things that you just wonder, and when I look back, I'm just amazed in terms of the strength that I had to individually look for in order to survive. But how it started was I started experiencing tummy aches, and it's very important for us to speak about the symptoms because at times, some things are going through our bodies and we just let it go and think it's something minor. So I was experiencing pain in my tummy every time I ate. Then this continued for a while, and then later on I noticed blood in my stool. And this is when I traveled to South Africa for work, and I remember calling mom and saying, "Hey mom, I think I have colon cancer." And then she's like, "Oh, please don't talk like that." And I keep on saying, don't say things that you don't wish to happen to you because your words are very strong. So I already put it in the universe, so I said it out loud that I think I have colon cancer. Not that because I said that I got colon cancer, but I'm just trying to say do not say things out loud that you don't want happening to you because words have power. So got back from South Africa and I continued experiencing the same symptoms. Then I decided, this is not normal. Let me go to the pharmacy. And most of us, instead of going to the doctors, we go to the pharmacy to get medication. So I went, spoke to one of the people there, and I told them about my symptoms, and they said, "Oh, you probably have food poisoning, you probably ate something bad, or maybe you just need to deworm." So he gave me some painkillers, deworming tablets, and told me, just this should work. So I took the medicine. It helped a bit with my symptoms in terms of less pain, but I still continued experiencing blood in my stool and also pain whenever I ate. After some time, I told myself this is not normal. It's not normal for you to experience such symptoms. So I decided to go to the doctor. And I went to the doctor, and I had a very, very good doctor, and this was Aga Khan. And when I went to the doctor, he was very, very, very chilled. And all he told me is I don't know where the blood is coming from, but we need to do some tests. So we did some tests, and one was an x-ray, and they needed to see, of course, what's happening inside. So we did the x-ray. They noticed that I was highly constipated. And then later on, they did the ultrasound. On the ultrasound, they didn't see much. They saw something small, but they weren't sure. And then afterwards, the doctor told me that I need to do a colonoscopy and an endoscopy. And during this test period, it was about a month and a half because I still kept on traveling. I kept on working. And of course, with doctors, they needed to, of course, you have to make appointments. So it took about a month and a half when I was going through all these tests. So when I did the colonoscopy, and a colonoscopy is where they put a camera in through your mouth to make sure they can see what's really happening in your colon. And I also did an endoscopy. So immediately I did those tests. The nurse told me that I needed to go downstairs and see the doctor. And I remember asking the nurse, "Oh, what's the issue? What's the problem?" And the nurse is, "Oh, I can't tell you. You have to go see the doctor immediately." So when I went downstairs to see the doctor, and this is not the first doctor who initiated the test. This is the one who's, I think, more involved with colonoscopy, endoscopy. So he told me that, "Do you want to hear the bad news or the good news?" And here now I started freaking out. And then I told him, "Why don't you start with the bad news first? No, why don't you start with the good news?" And then he tells me the good news is you don't have stomach cancer. But the bad news is you have colon cancer. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was tearing. And the way he said it was just, honestly, bedside manners was zero. Because he just said it like it's common thing. It happens. He didn't even tell me, oh, take it easy, you'll be okay. Then later on, I asked him, so what does this mean? Then he tells me that you probably will have to do a biopsy later on to see the staging, and then you'll have to go to your doctor for the next steps. I remember immediately I called Mom. I told her about it. She was in Mombasa at that time. And I guess in the next episode, you'll see Mom's reaction, because I want to share with you her journey with me going through cancer. So I told her that, and then came home, thought about it. And after that, I had to go back to the doctor. And when I went back to my general doctor, it's actually a surgeon. And I asked him, so what are the next steps? And this was actually really at the end of December of 2019. And he was telling me this, I think, in January 2010 about my results. So when I went to see him, this was actually beginning January of 2010. He told me more. Yes, it's colon cancer. And then he told me it's stage 2. So when I asked him, what do you mean by stage 2? And with cancer, you have to stage it before you actually start treatment. So when he told me to stage 2, I asked him, so what does that mean? Then he says, you have to have surgery. We need to remove the growth on your colon. And he said it's on the left-hand side of my colon. Is it the right or the left? He said it's on the left-hand side of my colon. And I'm very happy it was on the left, because I was able to get the signs. Because usually with colon cancer, it's very hard for you to see or go through the symptoms until it's very, very late. So he tells me I have to have surgery. It's going to be an open surgery. And the reason why it's open surgery, because he also wants to go check the liver to see if the liver is okay. Because, with cancer, it can spread. And he really wanted to make sure he has clear margins and also the lymph nodes to see how far the cancer has gone. So that was, I think, was the 3rd of January. So you can imagine I had a terrible Christmas in 2019, because I was like, no, it cannot be cancer, or maybe it's cancer. You have all those things going through your head. But when he told me about what I needed to do, immediately I was like, I need this thing out. Can we go to the hospital? When can we have my surgery done? So this was the 3rd, and I booked myself for the surgery on the 5th. I remember calling Mom and saying, Mom, I'm booking to have the surgery done on the 5th. I'm not waiting any longer. And she's like, are you sure you don't want to have a second opinion, a third opinion? I said, no, I'm very comfortable with my doctor, and I think it's time we get it out immediately. So I had my surgery. It was very successful, and we thank God, the lymph nodes were all clear, and also my liver was all clean. And he was able to remove the growth. I remember him, doctors, they get so fascinated with this thing. I remember him asking, do you want to see the growth? I told him, no, I do not need to see that stuff. It's out, it's gone, let's move on. And so I was 2 weeks in hospital, lost quite a lot of weight, you can imagine, because you really can't eat, and after the surgery. So I looked very thin, I remember, and I hate looking thin, but anyway. So after 2 weeks, when I'm almost being discharged, I had to see the oncologist. And the oncologist at this time tells me that I need to go through chemotherapy. So I did read a lot about stage 2, and most of the literature says that it's stage 2. So all you need is surgery, and then you'll be okay. So the element of chemotherapy was not really in my mind. But when the oncologist told me I have to go through chemotherapy, that's when it really dawned on me that, okay, this is cancer. I'm going through chemotherapy. So this is real. And Mom was there when the news was being told, and I told the doctors I do not want to do chemo. I told Mom I do not want to do chemotherapy, because you can imagine, we see so many movies when people go through chemotherapy and it's nothing positive. There's such a miserable life, and for me, I was like, no, that is not what I'm going to do. But I remember Mom asking me one question is, do you want to die? And I thought about that. Of course, I did not want to die. I still felt I have so much to do in this world. I have so much to give in this world. There's so much that I want to embrace as Bidanya. And so I prayed to God, and I told God, this is where we are. You allowed this to happen for a reason. There's definitely light after this tunnel. Definitely this is a journey I have to go through. And give me the strength, please. And we made a pact with God, and I told him, I've seen chemotherapy, but for me, let's have this pact. I will go through with it through grace, but please do not let my hair fall out. And that time I was thinking about my hair. Usually I used to mistreat my hair, but for some reason, the hair was a big deal for me at that time. And then I told him, please don't let me fall sick throughout. Let me continue living life. Let me continue going to work. Let me continue enjoying myself, and do take care of me. And God came through. So I had to do 8 months of chemotherapy. Usually you do 6 months, but I decided to do 8 months because I opted for the outpatient, whereby you go to the hospital for 4 hours, whereby you do your intravenous, and then you go home and you take the chemo drugs. Usually some people like doing it 6 months. That's after every 2 weeks, so you're done with it. But I knew chemotherapy is actually poison in your body, and I needed to give my body time to recover before the next chemo session. So I did 8 weeks, that's 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks I'd go for my chemotherapy. And I think that was a great decision I made, because I gave my body time to recover from the next session. Because my idea was I did not want to fall sick during my 8 months period of chemotherapy. And so with chemotherapy, I used to call it my cocktail. So I'll go to the office, I tell them, guys, I won't be around because I'm going for my cocktail. I made it feel like it's not a big deal. And I think it's very important when something happens to you, don't give it the power. People say, oh, I'm going through this monster called cancer. I'm going through big C. But I gave it a title called little c, because I knew between me and my God, we're going to fight it. So I didn't give it that power. And even chemotherapy, I'll say cocktail. And so after every 3 weeks, I would actually fall sick for 4 days. Chemotherapy is the worst thing ever, and I would never want to wish it on anybody, because it actually makes you fall sick. You don't feel like eating, you get fevers, you're sleeping most of the time, everything smells funny. For some people the hair falls off, mine didn't. But some of the side effects was my hands got super dark, so it was like I was playing with coal, maca. So my skin darkened, even my knuckles, even my feet, all turned black, literally as black as this, do we call it speaker? Yes. It is not a speaker, but what is this called? Yes. So that's the only side effects that I did go through. And of course, falling sick for 4 days. And the thing with chemotherapy is, when you fall sick, you don't know how you're going to fall sick. But with chemotherapy, you know how you're going to feel. You know how those 4 days are going to be hectic. So after every 3 weeks, you're like, okay, now it's chemotherapy. This is what I'm going to go through. So that was very hard. But I thank God that no side effects really were permanent. After a period of 6 months after my chemotherapy, after the 8 months of chemotherapy and later on 6 months, that's when my skin started being healthy again. But you can still see the side effects are still there. I mean, that is life. Sorry. Water is life. The other thing, of course, I do have a scar on my belly. I have a scar on my shoulder. And the scar on the shoulder is from the chemo pot. Because when you do chemotherapy, of course, every 3 weeks you have to look for your vein. And it can be very painful, especially looking for the vein. And also because it's a solution that goes through the vein. And some people have also, what happens, they even swell on the arm because of the medicine going through the vein. So my oncologist said, why don't you have a chemo pot? So I had to go for surgery before I started chemotherapy for them to insert a chemo pot on my right hand side, and that really made easy for me getting the intravenous. So I also have a scar here on my right, and I call it the battle scars. Been trying to hide it, but now I'm embracing it, because they say with every war, or with every soldier or warrior that has won a war fight, there has to be scars. So those are my battle scars that I'm super proud of now, but before I used to hide them. because I also keloid. But anyway, so that was 8 months of chemotherapy. So I finished my chemotherapy on the, I think, 10th of October of 2010, and my birthday was on the 16th of October. And that was the best birthday of my life because I was celebrating life. I was celebrating a new bee, and truly it was amazing, and it was a big deal, having a second chance in life. And through that journey from then to now, of course, I live a very healthy life. I read a lot in terms of how to prevent cancer, and I share that very widely because I think it's important for us to know how to protect ourselves. I remember when I finished chemotherapy and my doctor said everything is okay going forward. There was no book or no literature saying going forward, because you had colon cancer, you need not to do this, you need not to do this, and you need to do this. Nothing. So I had to go and do a lot of reading and really get knowledge on how to prevent cancer, and that is something I share widely, and that's something also I'll share widely on the podcast. So things like juicing that I do every day, that's amazing for cancer prevention because fruit is life, vegetables is life. There's supplements that I take on a daily for prevention that I'll speak about in the episodes coming forward. Working out is also very, very important. Studies have shown that just working out reduces your chance of getting cancer by 40%. It also increases your survival of other cancers if you have cancer by 40%. So it's very important when I speak about movement, and that's why I have so much passion when I talk about working out. Also, stress is also a contributor to cancer. It's been seen through breast cancer, highly contributing, and also other forms of cancer. So I talk about stress-free life, how to live life without having stress, or how, if you do have stress, what you need to do. Also, the element of sleep. There's so many things that we can do as individuals to prevent ourselves. And unfortunately, cancer is also affecting the young people. It's not just about old people. They used to say colon cancer affects people who are 60 years plus, but I was super young when I got colon cancer. So it's very, very important that we need to really talk about prevention. We really need to take ownership of our life, to know how to protect yourself from getting cancer and many other diseases. And I felt that that's one of my purpose, to share knowledge, things I do, things I keep on doing in terms of cancer prevention. It's been 13 years. Every day is a miracle. Every year is a celebration. And that's why I call myself cancer victoress. I do not call myself cancer survivor, because survivor means you're struggling. I'm a victoress. I'm striving. I'm doing so many things, and through my journey with cancer, I'm able to appreciate every day. I'm able to do more than I thought I could do. And I think the reason why I got cancer is because while the Lord allowed me to get cancer, because I was very comfortable where I was, and He really wanted me to go to a separate direction and to do more than I thought I could ever achieve. And so that's my cancer journey. During my cancer journey, I did learn, or I did not know I was that strong, both mentally and physically. And I did not know also my faith was that strong. So through my cancer journey, I could see my strength. It's amazing, because some people, it affects their mind, but I knew I had to be strong in the mind. And so I was very strong. I was very positive. I knew this was not going to be permanent. I knew it was a journey that I had to go through with strength and with faith. My friends and family supported me through my cancer journey in amazing ways. My friends were always there for me when I wanted to go out and dance and eat, because I was still a foodie. So they were always there, and they did not treat me different, like I was frail or I was sick. They kept on just treating me the way I was. Even at times I would tell them, I think it's time I went home, I'm getting tired, because they would forget. They want me to party until 4 a.m. during those days. But I like that about them. They did not treat me as a sickling. My family were very supportive, very prayerful. They also did not treat me as a sick person or a sick individual. It's like life was moving on, life was going on. And I think that is something also people need to know. When someone is going through difficult times, yes, you're aware, but do not treat them as such. So they are very supportive in also driving my being positive. They did support me with that. Remember the time when I called mom and I told her I had colon cancer. So during that time when I was doing a lot of Google research, which you should not do, I started juicing at that time, and I also started doing smoothies. I'm like, okay, now if it's colon cancer or if it's cancer, what do I need to do? And during that time, I met, I read about some guy, but Chris, he's a cancer survivor, stage 3 colon cancer, and he just did surgery. He refused to do chemotherapy, and how he healed his cancer was through juicing. And it's been, I think he's about 18 years cancer free. And so I read a lot about this guy. I read his books, and he really talked about how he was doing juicing, raw juicing, eating raw foods. So during that time, even before my diagnosis, Muluya diagnosis, right? Yeah. Hey, these ancestors. So during that time, I was like preventive. So I started doing smoothies, and later on I started juicing. So I started my journey actually in 2009, and I've continued it until now. I never joined a cancer survivor group because I felt like it's gonna, can I say, the funny thing is, that's a good question. I did not join a cancer survival group because I'm like, misery loves company. Why am I in a group whereby we're all going through cancer? I rather associate myself separately and fight this war separately between me and God. I didn't want to be in a situation whereby we're all talking, oh, my cancer, this, or this and that, or that and that. And I just wanted positivity all around me. And even I didn't see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I just felt God was enough, my family was enough, my friends was enough, and I was going to fight this because I had the power inside me to fight it. But later on, I did support cancer survivor groups, cancer victorious groups, whereby I give talks on how I was able to fight cancer, colon cancer, and how I live a healthy lifestyle. But during that time, I didn't want to put myself in a group. And which is me also personally. I don't like being put in a group. So that is something I did not want to do and I never thought of. In order to stay healthy, because I believe our body can fight any form of disease. Our body was endured. God made our bodies in a way where we can fight all kinds of diseases. But unfortunately, when our immunity is down, when our soldiers are down, that's when disease happens. So every second they say we have cancer cells running through our body, but it's our immune system that's fighting them. So you never know. So what I do is I arm myself with all the ingredients I need to in order to fight cancer. I keep on saying, or people, they say cancer 5% is genetic, the rest is your lifestyle. So, cancer is, there's this a saying that I like saying that your genes is the gun, but your lifestyle is the trigger. No, the gene is the bullet, your lifestyle is the trigger, if that makes sense. Meaning, 5% they say of cancer is genetic, but 95% is your lifestyle. So you have the gun, yeah? The gun is at 5%. You might have, no, the bullet is at 5% because the gun is the body. The bullet is at 5%. You can either not, in a gun is a trigger. Pull the trigger, exactly. So you have a bullet. A bullet is basically nothing unless you put it in the gun and you pull the trigger. So the bullet is that 5%, the gene, right? That is genetic. 95% is the lifestyle, so it's the trigger. So what you do 95% 95% of the time is very, very important in terms of protecting yourself. That 95% is really your lifestyle. What you eat, what you drink, what you take in mentally, because there's also the emotional element. And so my lifestyle from the time I was diagnosed till now is I do things that are very preventive. I've spoken about working out. I've spoken about juicing, about selecting what to eat. I tend to eat less red meat, processed foods, fried foods. I eat more organic because it's very critical. I do a lot of detox. I've spoken about detox. I'll keep on talking about detox in my next episodes. I also pray because I think also it's very spiritual, God's protection. And what else? Lots of supplements. Next time I'm going to show you my supplementation regime from morning till evening because I think it's critical. I consume lots of fiber because that's also very important for you. And also just living a positive life because I think positivity is very important in terms of preventing yourself from any form of diseases and also cancer. One advice I'll give to someone who's diagnosed with cancer is do not freak out. Do not be scared. 90% is, actually 80% is your mental. So be very positive. Don't stress. I know it's hard to say that, but don't stress. Yes, you'll feel probably scared, but I keep on saying that fear is not of God. So have the strength because all of it is mental. I've known people who just died 3 days after they've been told they had cancer, but before they knew they did not have cancer, they were okay and they were positive. So your mind is very strong. Just know it's possible. You can fight it. I fought it. I'm here 13 years later, so it's possible for you to fight cancer. It's not a death sentence, but you have to be strong in the mind. It's all about the mind. So try to cover yourself with positivity, people who are positive. Read the Bible if you need, or however spiritual you need, because I always believe there's a higher power that can support you in this journey. And also make sure you're comfortable with your doctor. Ask all the questions, whether stupid. Ask all the questions for you to be very, very armed with information regarding your cancer. Make sure it's staged. Don't just go and the doctor tells you, oh, we need to do this and this. Make sure you know the staging and also the precautions you need to take. But it's possible. You can fight it. You can win it. And you can be a victoress 20 years, 30 years from when you're diagnosed. My style and fashion sense today, I was feeling girly, and it's African. It's Naburi Fashion House again. And again, I just needed a pop of color and red shoes because it has a bit of red. And it's, and my jewelry is still there. And the hair. Mad person, girl. Thank you for watching, and like I said, something real, something raw, something restoring, and just talking about my cancer journey. So please subscribe, follow, share, and remember, it's all in the mind. Everything, it's all in the mind. In life, we're all dealt with something. But remember, it's all in the mind. We can win. We're soldiers. We're armed with the power and with the mind and with the knowledge. Until next time, ciao.